join in. So the question that I had for you is, I know that you are a PhD and you come from a amazingly science background. Is there a difference? Is there a difference in the approach that you see between what the scientists take and what the spiritual seekers take? Can you share us some of your insights on that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the biggest first differences I noticed, Guntax. Thanks for asking the question. The science always, the scientific method always, and I'm preaching to the choir here. Okay, so so if you want to beat me up, please call me later, and we can definitely get me beat up. The science always looks for experiments, and it has to agree with observation, but that observation is always of the outside world, right? We perform experiments on the world, and we want to observe the results on the world. But one of the first things I understood was this was science applied to ourselves inside. So it is an individual experience, not everybody. So we can't observe and show the observation to everybody else. We all have to individually observe the results for ourselves of the experiment that we perform on ourselves. So if someone asks for a proof, I cannot write to prove that and do everything. And like Vivek says, I cannot do a QED. It has to be a QED for ourselves internally. So that was the biggest difference for me when that I figured out in the beginning. But then we also saw that in one of our group discussions, we also saw Erwin Schrödinger. He always had this other equation, right? Atman equals Brahman. So one curious question that he always used to ask was, if that was the case, if we all had individually experienced, then everything should be appearing different in the world. So his aha, which when I read it, it became a big aha to me too, is that is why everything is Brahman, because we are observing the same thing outside, but we have to see that on our inside.
Nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And we have a special guest, Swamiji, joining us today. But before we introduce Swamiji, just want to ask the audience, any other questions for Gunds before we go to the next part of our program?
A quick question for you, Raj. Were many of your questions answered?
Several of them have been answered. There are still, and actually I'll tell you, some of those questions, I think I've got answers, but I go back and they become questions again, or there are questions on top of those questions. So that's why I think it's still very early stages for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It was really amazing. And with that, I want to